Hello and welcome to one of my favourite tours of London, one of my favourite walks. We have just come out of Westminster Station and we're on the North Bank. This is Westminster Bridge, which we're about to go across. And as we go up the stairs and go to the top, the magnificent sight of Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament. Now, we'll have a look at that again in a second, but it's just right underneath and recently renovated. But we're going to take a walk across Westminster Bridge, which is always a battle in itself with everyone else. Here you've got the London Eye. If you're thinking of doing a river bus, that is Westminster Pier, so you can get it to there. And the magnificent Victorian Albert ingrained there in the gold on the lights going across Westminster Bridge. And we're going to go across, and as we do that, we're going to take in the Old County Hall, which is over there. The London Eye, of course, which is now one of those London icons. I love those lights. Just look magnificent, don't they, on the bridge? Right, let's just take a view back. There we go. So you've got the Houses of Parliament. Taking in Big Ben. But our walk today takes us from here at Westminster all the way down to London Bridge. And we're doing it on the South Bank. And it takes in some magnificent views. Right, just to give you a view on the other side of the river, and we have done that before in our Westminster Bridge to Lambeth Bridge walk, because it's Lambeth Bridge down there. That's the next bridge along, as you head out and down towards Battersea and Wandsworth. So we're going across Westminster Bridge, tidied out, which should be good, because we're going to come across some sandy beach in London. And if you've not seen our video on the sandy beach, you're in for a treat, because I love it there. I think we'll go down onto that. I also want to give you some views from in front of St Thomas's Hospital. There is a brilliant view, but you've just got to know where to go for it. And I'm going to show you that in just a couple of seconds, where you get Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament as well. It's great, because after a good 4 years, the scaffolding is coming off Big Ben, so it's now coming out in all its glory, which is lovely. And also, a walk today is in the sunshine, which is beautiful. But we're going to do a video soon on another tour, which you can do of London and take in most of the sights, but in the rain. And funnily enough, you get the bus from over there for that. But anyway, but that's for another time. So, we are in late winter 2022 on the bridge. I promise you one thing, it will get busy up here during the summer, I promise you, because you've got all of the different attractions here on the South Bank. So within this building, not only have you can get your tickets for the London Eye and also to go backwards and forwards on the boat, but you've also got London Dungeons, Sea Life, Shrek, you've got various things. Right, let me show you this secret place first of all. So we're now going to go back and underneath Westminster Bridge. And this subway takes you, through underneath Westminster Bridge and brings you out at the other side. But where it brings you out is fantastic. And as you can see, we have an artist in residence. Wow, really capturing. And that, as you come out, is the amazing view that you can get. So it's worth taking the extra time. As you can see here, you've got the green of Westminster Bridge, and if you look, you've got all the detailing which is around Big Ben as well, of the Houses of Parliament, the portcullis, Victoria and Albert, various shields as you're going across. right underneath. But then going over there, you've got this lovely view. And that will only get better as the scaffolding disappears even further. Thank you. As the scaffolding disappears even further, which is amazing. The walk down here to Lambeth Bridge we have covered in a previous video, so I'm going to put a link to that in the top right hand corner, because it also covers the park, which is on the other side, which is the Victoria Tower Park, which is on the other side of the river there with those trees, which is lovely because it gives you a different view on the House of Parliament. But there you go, I hope it was worth coming through here and taking that. Fantastic, by the way, absolutely amazing. There, oil painting being done just underneath the bridge. At least you've got a good position if the weather changes. Right, so that's Westminster Bridge. We're underneath Westminster Bridge, and now we're on the South Bank. So the South Bank goes right down. Once you get to Blackfriars Bridge, it turns into Bankside. So let's show you all the places down here, and this is just a lovely walk. Easily accessible, nice and easy to walk, but it takes in so many of London's great iconic monuments, buildings, etc. Right, let's just give you a view of the Thames. This is interesting. Now you should be able to see on the video here that if you look at the water just behind where the pillars are into the Thames, you can see where the current is extremely strong and pulling the water under, and that's why you don't really swim in the Thames, because that current down there is deadly. Right, so there you are, there's the Houses of Parliament. This is also gorgeous at night because that's now all underlit in green underneath Westminster Bridge. Right, so this is County Hall. They've opened this up, there's lots of restaurants in there, and also they put hotel rooms in here so you can stay here. And you've got Premier Inn, I know, is one of the occupants here. So if you want to come and stay up in London, County Hall, they quite often do good rates. No, not on a commission, and no, there's no affiliate link. Just thought I'd add that now. So we're looking over to the other side. The building here, which is to zoom in on, that one is New Scotland Yard. That is the home of the Met Police here in London. And if you watch anything Parliament-wise, they often talk about a place called Portcullis House, which is there, where they have a lot of parliamentary meetings outside of the Houses of Westminster, select committees, etc. That happens in that building there, Portcullis House. Something else I'm going to highly recommend is if you also want to see this a different way, you can do it by taking a river bus. So there's lots of stations, there's lots of piers and sort of stations en route which you can go to. One of them I showed you just now, which was at Westminster Pier, which is there, and actually you can see the boat going in over there now, the Uber boat, and they're all sponsored currently by Uber, and that will take you all the way down to North Greenwich if you want to go. But there's one pier there, and funnily enough, if you can't be bothered to walk across the bridge and you want to do it by boat, you can, because there's the next pier there on the other side. Yep, that's the next stop along as you go down towards London Bridge. That's the London Eye Pier. Okay, let's continue our tour and walk down. This is also really impressive at night. They really have lots of different colours projecting onto here, which is the old County Hall. You've got Shrek's Adventure, so if you're coming up here with children, then they'll love that. The London Eye, well worth a tour around. You've got the London Dungeon as well. Now, we've done the London Dungeon, we've done that recently. You can't film in there because there's lots of things, lots of surprises, lots of things that happen, and it's great, but for young children I wouldn't, because it will scare them. But if they're quite hardy and they're aged sort of 10 plus, go for it. But that's got all sorts of rides in there in that building which you don't really expect, including a water ride and a sort of a sudden drop. But anyway, not going to say any more about that, I still want to ruin it. So the London Eye is going round. It's the for those people there completing its revolution, about to have their photos taken. So if you see a flash, that's the tourist cam, as they call them. Also, if you're doing the London Eye, I can't recommend highly enough, book your tickets in advance. The views are incredible. I'll put a link to our video on here, and the views you get as you go round the London Eye, because it's fantastic. It only takes about half an hour to go round. Probably takes you longer to queue to get on it and then get off for the photos, etc., than it does to sit round, but it's beautiful. Well worth doing. It gives you fantastic views across London and across sort of the Whitehall estate and into St James's Park, Buckingham Palace. Right, we have ice cream vans. Now on the right hand side here, as we're walking down the Thames, you have Jubilee Gardens, and Jubilee Gardens has been opened twice by the Queen. She opened it for her Silver Jubilee in 1977 and again for her Golden Jubilee in 2012. I've got a video for that one, that's on the top right hand corner. But let's go over here. Fighting seagulls, great tourist attraction. But let's show you the view of the Thames as we walk down the Southbank here. The tide is well and truly out. If you look across, you can see to where the tide rises, and actually it's just underneath the wall over on the other side, so you can see how much the tide varies during the day. So this is Hungerford Bridge, also known as the Golden Jubilee Bridge. I love walking on here, especially at night, because the view back of Westminster, the London Eye, all lit up from this side. There's two pedestrian bridges. You've got a railway track halfway in between the two pedestrian bridges, which takes the trains in and out of Charing Cross and to south of England. But you've got a pedestrian bridge on this side, which gives you views of Westminster down towards Lambeth and also the London Eye, which are beautiful. And on the other side, you've got another pedestrian bridge on the other side of the railway, but that gives you views across to the City of London. So you've got St Paul's Cathedral, the Shard, you've got all that well and truly lit up. So take your choice, and if you're going on the bridge, what I would do, and you've not done it before, is go in one direction across and then go in the other direction on the other side of the bridge, so you get in both sets of views. That is Hungerford Bridge, also known as the Golden Jubilee Bridge. And if you look in our videos, you'll see that in there. Now, if you are a regular viewer to our channel, you'll recognise this, because Jaden and I were down here at Christmas, and this was full of Christmas market stalls selling all sorts of stuff, including lots of food and drink stuff and other bits ready for Christmas, and that was all down here, and it was heaving. So that's where they have it. And just to prove we're going underneath the railway bridge into Charing Cross, that's what you can hear above me. Great thing about this walk, now we can talk. You've got the Southbank Centre there. You've got plenty of places at which you can stop, have some food, and just take a break if you like, and just do it in little bits. So it is well worth doing the route, but you can do it in little bits and come and go as you want. So we got out at Westminster Tube Station on the other side of Hungerford Bridge. Across there you've got Embankment, so you can make it a little bit shorter and then come across from Embankment. There you go, you've got another Uber boat. As you can see, they are quite regular. That's Embankment Pier. And then over here you've got Cleopatra's Needle. And wow, that's got some history behind it. And once again, we have a video on that one telling you all about that history from the thousands of years ago when it was created and shipped over from Egypt. So we have the Southbank Centre, which is over here. And we'll carry on walking through because that comes to Queen Elizabeth Hall. You've got roof gardens, bars, all sorts of things here. As you can see, it's a great place for people to come and have a walk and get out and about in London. But take your choice, do it at daytime, do it at night. It's always alive. Under here, this has become a self-adopted skateboarding and BMX biking place. And it's a venue across London where people can just come and have a go. There we go, there's his catch. Nope. Not doing any tricks today, but come down here for an evening and you've quite often got 40 or 50 people on their skateboards and also their scooters these days doing all sorts of stuff. Okay, here we've got Waterloo Bridge. Go across, which takes you to the bottom of the Strand and also Somerset House. So if you're looking to get across, that's where that'll take you to. This is the British Film Institute, the BFI, underneath Southbank, underneath Waterloo Bridge. Always got different films on, very sort of niche films, but very popular in London. And as you can see, cafe at the front there, which is always very popular. Right, let's get some great views of the Thames. Now, there's all sorts of cruises that you can take up and down the Thames to see stuff, guided tours, which are great, but you will pay for them. So they're not cheap. The alternative is grab yourself a river bus, get an Uber and take it up and down. And you can do it as many times as you like. You tap in and tap out just like you do on the underground. But you can really capture London from the water. And just to prove that the tide is out, look at that. It just exposes loads and loads of beach. And we're going to go down onto the beach very, very shortly. So here you've got the London Eye River Cruise, which funnily enough goes from underneath the London Eye. I think if you're going to do that, that's going to cost you about £25 to £30 per person. Right, let's continue our walk down. So you go from the Festival Hall to the National Theatre, where there are often lots of plays being performed, all different sorts of plays that they have in residence here at the National Theatre. Just trying to see what they've got on at the moment. It's coming up to school holiday time here in the UK shortly, and I know they've got a lot of children's literary authors going to be based here that they can meet. Some very famous ones actually, people like Julia Donaldson, who's well known for Gruffalo and various other ones, but that's here. She'll be here at the National Theatre very shortly. And also look at that view back. So you've got the London Eye as well, so you've got the river sort of curving round and you get beautiful views across. Right, let's just show you Somerset House. That big building with the green dome is Somerset House there. Now, one of the things a lot of people do, and this lady is doing now, so let's just watch her for a couple of seconds, is she is a mudlark. And if you can see, she has in her hand a trowel which she's using to dig, and she's got a plastic bag with her. And what they do is, when the tide goes out, it leaves all sorts of different things exposed, all sorts of different treasures. And what she's doing, like a lot of them do, is they go down and see what they've got. And it is still possible today to find tiles, bits of pipes that men used to smoke, clay pipes, which they used to throw into the water, and it still gets washed up today. And this whole area is open. You can just walk down these steps and get onto the beach. So, if you're coming up to London and you fancy having a go at making your wealth, it won't be that way, but you never know what you might find, as well as the normal rubbish, etc., that gets washed up on the edge of the Thames. Just show you these lights. So these are all the different lights that are down by the side, and you've got mermaids and fish, etc., all intertwined in here, which is beautiful. Now, also, various points as you go down, you've got plaques which showing you what that you can see as you look across. And actually, here's a good point to take a view round, because not only have you got sort of Waterloo Bridge round to Somerset House, then you've got Temple that's there, you're looking at straight ahead. And as you swing round, you can see the cranes, and just behind the cranes, you've got a sight of St Paul's Cathedral and the City of London, which is lovely. That's why I like it down here so much, because you really do get a view across London. If you come down here at dusk, you get some amazing views as the lights are coming on in all the buildings. Right, let's continue our walk down the Southbank. As you can tell, lots of people running, keeping fit. That person that was running just now was actually on the phone having a phone call. I don't know about you, I have enough trouble walking and talking, let alone running and holding a business conversation at the same time. Anyway. Keep walking down. Right, let's just walk in here a little bit, down the path. And we're now coming up to a little place that I must admit I do rather like here on the South Bank. It's called Gabriel's Wharf. And with the tide being out, we can get down on the beach, which we're going to do, and go and have a look, because you can really imagine history. Here we go, there's a view of St Paul's. The odd-shaped building that you can see on the right-hand side is known as the walkie-talkie, but it's actually the Sky Garden. You can go 35 floors up on that and get a view across London. Oh, by the way, that's for free as well. See, all this stuff you can do in London for free. But here, at Gabriel's Wharf, look at that. Sandy beach. So what we're going to do is, we've got some gates here which are open, and you can go down and have a look. Now, in the summer, not only have we got people walking their dogs down here, but you can also see people sculpting things in the sand, which is great. So, metal staircase, so you can go down, and now we are on the beach, as they say, in central London, on the Thames. You can get right down to the shoreline. Let's do it. And this is what people are looking in. They're looking for all sorts of remainders of things from London's history washed up with each tide here on the shore of the Thames. And yes, just as a reminder, we are on the shore of the Thames, because that is St Paul's Cathedral. So if you're going to come to the South Bank, it is definitely worth having a look. Just Googling what the tide times are for, say, London Bridge, because we're not far away from there, and that'll tell you when the tide is out at its maximum. And even if it's only halfway out, you can still get down on the beach here at Gabriel's Wharf. And as we're looking out and across, there we are. And as you can tell by the cleanliness of the water, I wouldn't recommend anyone going for a little paddle or a wave in that one. So you've got a jetty that goes out up here as well. You can see the lady looking underneath it. She's got her bag, so she's looking for sort of treasure from times gone by. But this is one of those great places that if you've got the time, come and sit up here. Come and take your time and come and enjoy. Also, if you want an idea of how far the tide drops, you can see there we were down by the side of the water just now, but as you look round, I'm keeping this level, but you can see the gradient of the shoreline. And that, most of that, as you can see, is covered from the seaweed on the wall. So it really shows how tidal the Thames is here in the centre of London. And the noise you can hear is a Chinook helicopter over central London. All sorts of things fly over. Right, this is Gabriel's Wharf, which is a fantastic place to stop for a bit of lunch, snack, cup of coffee. And it's a little find here on the South Bank, one of my fave places. And it's right underneath the gaze of the Oxo Tower, which is this red building coming upon us. Now, it's called the Oxo Tower because, believe it or not, you cannot advertise on the South Bank of the Thames. So, the people that bought this, the owners of Oxo, decided that they would create a tower with an O, an X and an O going down it. They said, it's not advertising, they're windows. Hence, it's known as the Oxo Tower. Love it. Got old warehouses, wharfs down behind. That's the barge house with the lighting on the side. And then, as you go through here to the Oxo Tower, there's a gallery which is quite often has an exhibition on. It's empty today. Just see it there, but you can see the artwork from the window. You quite often you're allowed to just go in and have a look. So one to keep an eye out for when they have an exhibition on. And also, let's just show you a great causeway, which is here. And that causeway, years gone by, would have been used to launch boats from the wharfs here on the South Bank into the River Thames. And that's all that's left of it at the moment. And of course, as the tides go in and out, it takes bits of it behind. But that's what you've got that's left. All exposed when the water goes out here on the banks of the River Thames. Now here, as you walk underneath the Oxo Tower, which also is famous for its restaurant it has right on top, where you can have fantastic views across London whilst you're eating. But if that's outside your price bracket, yes, it's certainly outside mine, but you've got a Cafe Nero, which is great, and you can sit outside or eat inside, drink inside there. Plus you've got other shops as well as you're walking underneath here on the South Bank. Okay, so interestingly, the Chinook helicopter is still buzzing round. Just there we go. Still buzzing around central London. Always interesting because you see this sort of thing happening, and then when you get home later after a day's filming, you see the news and you go, oh, that's what the helicopter was doing or the police were doing, etc. Quite often see it later. Right. So it's got first floor and ground floor retail, so you can go in there. This is all part of the Jubilee Greenway as well, the walk that we're doing today. And we're now starting to leave London's West End and heading towards the City of London. The bridge you can see in front of us, which is red, is a Blackfriars Bridge. And here, this building with the telephone box is the Sea Containers Hotel, which once again was an old wharf, been converted, and now gives you hotel rooms with amazing views over London. No, once again, there's no affiliate links, but it does. I've seen the pictures. Okay, so you've got Blackfriars Bridge there. Now, one of the interesting things about Blackfriars Bridge, so there is a river that runs through London called the River Fleet. It runs down Fleet Street, that's where it got its name from, and it originates over at Hampstead. But most of it is underwater, like a lot of rivers in London that used to be sort of open and flowing. And it actually opens into the Thames just behind the far arch over there of Blackfriars Bridge. So River Fleet, if you look for it on a map you won't see it, but it starts over at Hampstead. Okay, so we're now walking towards Blackfriars Road Bridge. By the way, information, if you're after some of the history about here, it's available on our website, which is www.londonvisited.co.uk or londonvisited.com, and then go to the history tab and you'll be able to download a PDF which has all the history of this walk and all of the different things you're looking at. You can find out more about its history, why this is called Blackfriars Bridge, and believe it or not, it had to do with the friary. So, as we go through here, we go under a tunnel at the end of the bridge, so we don't have to go over the road. Oh, this is also part of the Jubilee Walkway as well, Queen's Jubilee Walkway, on one of her walks. So we will be covering this again when we do this particular loop of the 15 miles of the Queen's Jubilee Walkway. And down here, you've got different murals of the different parts of building and the history of Blackfriars Bridge, which is great. Yeah, opened in 1869. Right, so we have construction work going on in this piece here. But as we go through, the Blackfriars Railway Bridge is the next bridge we come to, which, fun enough, we're just about to go under. But as we do that, we go from on the South Bank, we're now on Bankside. And this is Blackfriars Station. So you can get your train, Citylink, etc. either to the north, because it takes you over the Thames, or to the south of England. But as we come up here, you can see where they've moved Blackfriars Bridge, Railway Bridge, across, because once upon a time it used to sit on those two stands there and the ones behind them, and actually it was 3 stands wide. And if you look, you can see one of the third circular stand, the one on the right, is actually now part of the now Blackfriars Railway Bridge going across. So one of those bits of London where they didn't take the stands away, but they're still there to show where the old Blackfriars Railway Bridge has been moved like 50 metres across. So, now we are approaching the city as we come out from underneath the magnificent arches of Blackfriars Bridge. And here you get a wonderful view of St Paul's Cathedral dome. Just on the other side. And just beyond that, we are now, the next bridge that we come across is the Millennium Bridge, which is London's pedestrian bridge going across, opened for the millennium in the year 2012. Temporarily before they closed it down, it took 2 years to fix. But that's a great walk going across, and it gives you, when you go across the bridge, fantastic views of St Paul's Cathedral, because the bridge is positioned so when you look across the bridge and you're going from the South Bank to the North Bank, you have the magnificent view of St Paul's Cathedral right in front of you as you walk across the bridge. That's why it's constructed where it is, to give you amazing views. Quite a grey, imposing day here in London today, isn't it? Weather-wise, it's quite warm, not raining yet. Let's take advantage. Right, so we're now on Bankside, and as we're walking down Bankside, you can see you've got access again to the beach, and you can see where people have been down there. So you've got the shoreline there. You've got some swans on the other side of the shore there. People once again looking in the mud to see what they can find. So as you go through here, on the right hand side you have the Tate Modern, which is 10 floors of art which you can go to, and most of it is free. Now there's a few exhibitions in there that you need to book for well in advance and pay for, but if you're not worried about those and you just want to get some general art, then this is certainly the place to go. So this is the Tate Modern. This used to be a power station, and a lot of the shell of the power station is still there. So you can actually walk around some of the old turbines inside. So yeah, no opportunity missed at all for tea, coffee, etc. Yeah, and you've got a few more people here on the shoreline going down and having a look. And that just gives you a view of Millennium Bridge. And as it is, you can probably hear in the background, another great place for street entertainment. So if you want to come down and have a seat and listen to some street entertainment, whatever they've got on, this is another great place to do that here in London, outside the front of the Tate Modern by the Millennium Bridge. And you can see the shore on the other side as well. And to get to that, there's a pair of steps which you sort of climb down. Quite precarious. But you can climb down those and get onto the beach on the other side as well. All these places open up. But the most important thing is just definitely check out the tide times if you're coming down here to do something like that. Great thing to do with children as well, because they just love it. And no one ever thinks of London having different beaches and going down by the shoreline. Great thing to do.
The thing is, none of it.
Okay, let's continue our walk. So you can see the buildings of the city there. Here, let's give it. There we go, some pause. And we have someone doing his best John Lennon. And if you're coming down to this place and you just, hey, do you know what, I fancy getting down here because there's a bit of a vibe going on down here, then all you need to do is to go to London Bridge, which we're walking to now. You can get off at the station there. Alternatively, get on your Uber boat on your bus ride and get off at Bankside Pier. Here. That's the view going across underneath the pedestrian Millennium Bridge.
Yeah, look at the size of the rock.
Nice couple of angry moorhens. So we're on Bankside, and as we're walking down towards and into the City of London, there's still more to see. So, here is Cardinal's Alley, and these houses date back, and Cardinal's Wharf date back well into the 1600s, because it's alleged in that red building Christopher Wren lived when he was rebuilding St Paul's Cathedral. But next to that, and it's alleged that William Shakespeare also lodged in one of these houses, and the reason he did that is because it was just around the corner from the site of the original Globe Theatre. Now, this is the reconstructed Globe Theatre, which is about 100 metres away from the old site of where it used to be. But you can get in here. They have plays going over the time. One thing you do need to be aware of, if you're coming down here, then you've got to remember it's an open air theatre. So wrap up warm and also prepare for the weather. But a great experience if you want to come and live Shakespeare. And at the moment, what they got on, they're advertising for Merchant of Venice, Hamlet. So yeah, different things on. So just check that out. That's Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Okay, as we carry on walking down, now coming to the green of Southwark Bridge, which is just over 100 years old. It's incredible to believe that until about 1700, the only bridge across the Thames up here was London Bridge. If you wanted to get across any other places, you had to go down to Kingston upon Thames. That was the second bridge, before they then opened the third bridge, which is over Westminster. Okay, so you've got all of the chains, etc., if you want to go and do this. But something most people don't see, so let's give you a bit of a treat, is this. So, to get across the Thames, if you're not going to use the bridges, and let's face it, the bridges were a nightmare because everyone else was using them, so they sometimes took an hour to get across the bridge, you could go across by ferry. And this is the ferryman seat, which is previously located at previous buildings on this site and was constructed for the convenience of Bankside watermen who operated ferrying services across the river. And the seat's age is unknown, but it's thought to have ancient origins. So believe it or not, people used to sit on the ferryman used to sit on that and wait to take people across. And that is the ferryman seat. And because it's tucked slightly down Bear Gardens, and the reason this is called Bear Gardens, because at the end here used to be a bear pit where you'd have bear fights. Yes, no joke, you did. That's why it's called Bear Gardens. You've got ferryman seat. So let's continue our walk, and as we do, just get back onto the raised area. And there's a reason for this, because we have something else to show you from the 1800s. So in a second we're going to go underneath Southwark Bridge. You can see another bridge beyond. That one is going a train bridge that takes you in and out of Cannon Street, and then beyond that we have London Bridge. But as we walk on this higher bit and then go round, and they've got a diversion in place, but do you know what, we're still going to do it and then we'll go back. You walk past bollards, and so many people just walk past bollards in London without even realising what they are. This one is ever so slightly different. So just have a look and see what it's like. Don't worry. And what do you notice about it? Yeah, it's not your normal bollard. This is a cannon, and it's a cannon from the 1800s. Now they're not sure which ship it came from, but in the 1800s, lots of ships were scrapped for the metal, and the metal was used for different things. Well, across London there are different cannons which are used as street bollards, and this is one of them, and it's here on Southbank. So make sure you do, sorry, here on Bankside. So make sure that you get down here. If you want to know where it is, it's right underneath Southwark Bridge, outside what is now known as Zizi's, although restaurant change from time to time. But let's give you a closer look, because what you can see is across the top of the cannon, you've got the markings here. Down, it's been blocked up, but if you look down, you can see that would have been where they would have shot the cannonball from. And then down here, you can see near the bottom is where they would have attached the wheels to make the cannon mobile, because that would have been one hefty thing. But what they did was, they needed the metal, so they made it into a bollard, and they've plonked it here, upturned. So make sure that if you're getting down here to Bankside, not only you see the ferryman seat, but you also see that cannon as well, and it's just there. And that's the beauty of London. Things are just sitting here, ready to be discovered. Okay, let's take the detour around. And as we do, let's go underneath Southwark Bridge. It's great because you've got things you can look at as you go underneath Southwark Bridge. Different inscriptions on stone. It's all modern. Lots of construction going on. So when we come out on the other side of Southwark Bridge, so the next bridge you can see going across is Cannon Street. So that is purely a railway bridge. So you can see the trains in over there. City of London. And we're now heading down towards London Bridge. Oh. Yeah. That is adverse construction. They're actually smashing windows with big poles as we talk. Right. That's a deconstruction site. Okay, let's continue our walk around. And as we come out, you can see, here we go, our first glimpse of the Shard, because it's been hidden by the different buildings on the banks of the Thames, because the Thames sort of weaves around. This is the Anchor Pub on Bankside, and this has been here for donkey's years. Once again, info is in the PDF on the history, but it's been used in various films as well, because what a lovely place. Okay, and they always say in London, if it says it's traditional, it means it's not. And funnily enough, it doesn't say that at all. Okay, now we're going to go underneath the railway bridge coming out of Cannon Street. See some street art here. Oh, it's old Will himself, as he was known to have made. No, Mr. Shakespeare. And then as we go through here, underneath, we're going past one of the original prisons. And this is the site of what was a prison in London, called the Clink. have got a video on that. But the prison was here, medieval prison, from 1144 to 1780. And there's bits of original wall down there, as well as a great exhibition of, well, all things prison. So if that's your game, that's good for you. And also, it's a really good price to go in there. So, which also not overly inflated for London. So, as we're walking around here, we're going to come to a palace in a second. And we have the remains of a palace here in central London. This is the remains of Winchester Palace, and it was founded in the 12th century by Bishop Henry de Blois, who was brother of King Stephen, and it was built for the bishops to live in comfort when they stayed in central London on an administrative business. And the people that stayed here were the equivalent of the chancellors of the exchequer to the king, or queen at the time, well, king. And this is the remains. And the whole area was a palace, but of course, being right by the Thames, it was easy for them to get to because they could just sail in, get off their ships, and they'd be at the palace. Okay, so this is all Pickford's Wharf, and as we come round, we have the Golden Hind. This isn't the original, this is one of a number of replicas that they did, but it has done world circumnavigations. So it has been around the world quite a few times, even though it's not the original. This one was built back in 1996, but using all the original ways of shipbuilding. So it is a true replica. And just to give you a fantastic. And these chunks of wood are here as part of the renovation works. So they'll take the wood and they'll carve it down to what they need to do to replace parts of the ship to look after and rebuild as they need to. Now, straight ahead, we have Southwark Cathedral on the left. We have London Bridge Station and the trains going into London Bridge Station, which you can see across that bridge. And then you have Borough Market. Now, we've covered Borough Market a few times, so if you want to know more about Borough Market, some of the great places you can eat, things you can do at Borough Market, we've got some videos on there for you. What we're going to do is, come on, let's do a bit of a bonus. So we've walked from Westminster Bridge all the way through, and we're about to go to hit London Bridge. But what we'll do is, let's continue the walk and go down to Tower Bridge. So, get past these lorries, get back by the side of the Thames. Then we'll get across and we'll walk the short distance from London to Tower Bridge. So that just gives you an idea of how close that is as well. There we go, Shard. And interestingly enough, we have a pub over here, and I think from 1873, judging by one of the signs on it, called the Mudlark, which again is the name of the people, given for the people that get down on the shoreline and then start digging for treasures. It's called mudlarking. Right, let's go up through tucked away Pizza Express. If you're looking for a coffee around London Bridge, that's one of my favourite places, the roasting plant. Great place to come and have a coffee. They grind and roast the coffee in there. Let's go up the steps here. And this is going to take us onto London Bridge. Now, when you're in London and you're about to go into a city, the City of London, you'll find these will greet you. It's part of the City of London crest. So, you know when you're coming into the City of London because you'll be greeted by these. So, the start of London Bridge marks the entrance to the City of London. But what we're going to do is take life into my hands, we're going to cross over and then go down on the other side. Now, this London Bridge was built in 1973, but the original London Bridge was built by the Romans in 55 AD, but it wasn't built here. It was built about 100 metres along, and so were the subsequent London bridges until they moved the predecessor to this along. And you can always tell where it is when you're looking at the London skyline, because see the Thames there and you can see the city, but we'll zoom in a second and you'll see the monument to the Great Fire of London. Now, the monument to the Great Fire of London is just there. You can see the gold topping on it. So that's on the north side, and that's the monument to the Great Fire of London. But we're not quite in line with it yet. So as we go along, you'll see the old London Bridge. Here we go. There's a plaque to commemorate. Went from here and across. So the old London Road and the London Bridge, if you were going to go across in the olden times when it was built. So, believe it or not, it was 1830 they moved the bridge along to the place where it is now. But the Romans built it here, and here it stayed until 1830. And it went straight across the river here, and it went through the churchyard, or the church, which is just on the other side. And if you go over there, there are still some remnants of London Bridge stones over there, and it's the road that then takes you up. I think it's called Fisheries Lane, but as you come out of Monument Station and you are in front of the monument itself, that is the old road across London Bridge. And it was infamous because at both ends you had sort of gatehouses where heads of traitors were placed, and all various other bits of history. But once again, you can have a look and it'll tell you more about that as you look at our PDF on the history down here. Okay, so as we swing round from the original site of London Bridge, and we're going to head down this way, you can see, yes, the Tower of London, and you've also got HMS Belfast, and then Tower Bridge. So I thought, come on, let's do this as an added extra. So let's take you for a walk down here. If once again you want to jump around and don't want to do the walk, or you've got family that won't necessarily feel up to doing it, then you can once again get your ferry, get the riverboat, a river bus, and there is a pier just here, which is London City. It'll take you off. Also, if you want to come up here and enjoy this bit of the walk, which is from London Bridge to Tower Bridge, you've also got London Bridge Station, which is no more than 50 metres from where I am at the moment. It is that close. So you can get out there, come across and enjoy this bit of walk. And you get beautiful views across the city. Got St Paul's over there. Across the city. And again, it's taking in the old and the new. Right, if you want a great picture of Tower Bridge, here we go. This is a great place because not only have you got a cover for it, but you can see right down almost through the centre. Here we're walking into Hayes Galleria, which is a collection of small boutique shops, but also loads of places to eat here in London as well. So another place that you can head for if you want to get the mix right. And it's all undercover. So once upon a time a wharf, but again converted, and another place to come down and relax. Now, we're heading down towards Tower Bridge, and if you're coming to London, a tip for you, go online and Google opening times Tower Bridge, because they will tell you on there when it's due to be opened. So any boat coming through Tower Bridge can do, but they must notify Tower Bridge 24 hours in advance, at least 24 hours in advance of when it's going to come through if it needs to be lifted. Now, most boats can go through Tower Bridge, well, 99% of boats can go through Tower Bridge because they're small enough to go under without Tower Bridge being opened. But for the odd one that does need to go through, they've got to let the people know who operate Tower Bridge 24 hours notice. And Tower Bridge put it onto their website. So if you're coming down and you want to see the classic Tower Bridge opening, then do check out the website, because it would be horrible to miss it by 5 or 10 minutes, or just see it closing and you've missed it. So just go to their website, Tower Bridge. So on the right hand side here we have County Hall, which is where the Mayor of London and his administration is. That's where they run London from. And then let's just give you a view across. So through the centre of Tower Bridge, you're looking out towards the large skyscrapers of Canary Wharf, which is about 3 miles out from here. So that's where you're looking at there. And then as you swing round, you go from Tower Bridge from 1894 to the Tower of London, built in 1066. Or at least the oldest part is. And then you swing round, you've got Tower Millennium Pier, so once again another great place you can get off if you're doing your boat trip and you're getting your river bus down. And then City of London. So hopefully that's given you a flavour for our walk. So we have walked all the way from Westminster Station all the way to Tower Bridge. So we've taken in a number of bridges en route. We've gone along the Southbank, we've gone into Bankside. We've had some brilliant views across the river. I've been really lucky today because don't forget the tide was out as well, so we could get down on onto the shoreline to go and see London from there as well. And then across to see Tower Bridge sitting behind me, and of course the Tower of London on the other side as well. Now if you love London history, then please, I put a playlist up here for you up on just where I'm pointing now. If you click on that, that has got a whole load of videos on the historical London, so click on that and I will see you in those videos very shortly. Thanks for joining us for today's walk.